But Mark, let's move on. The next topic we're looking at is teams that are under pressure. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. But not to be confused with Vanilla Ice's Ice Ice Baby, because apparently it's different, though it's the same.
I was going to say, that's not what you were singing. I
No,
thought you were singing Vanilla Ice.
No, I was doing Under Pressure. But we are talking about the teams that are under the most pressure in 2019. There's a few that I can think of. But I'm going to throw it to you to start. Before we do, actually, if you have an Apple ID, if you have iTunes, because I know you do, make sure to go over to the podcast app and give the Onside Kick a 5-star rating. It really helps us out, gets us into the ears of more people, and it makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside reading and seeing those positive reviews from you guys out there. And if you're watching on YouTube, I know you have an iTunes. Like, unless you're like Johnny, who's like anti-Apple and like all about the Android, most people I know have. Like, I've got my Apple here.
Yeah.
Mark's an Apple guy. I mean, really the only one that makes our group chats green is Johnny. Everyone else is blue at MVP. But for you, who's the first team you want to mention that's under the most pressure?
Yeah, I'm going with the obvious one to start. It's the Cleveland Browns.
Really?
The Cleveland Browns are such an obvious one because the entire world has decided that the Cleveland Browns are a good team.
Yeah.
I want to point out a team that went 7-8-1 last year. We have all decided is the favorite to win their division. Not only that, but we've also all decided that, you know what? They're going to compete for a Super Bowl. We've already decided that this is a team that is absolutely amazing. It reeks of the Eagles' dream team. I don't even remember, what was that, like 2012 or something like that. It just smells like this Eagles dream team that never came to be. Anytime a team just gets so hyped up. Do you remember when the New York Giants bought themselves a defense in the offseason and then they were terrible?
Browns are 16-1 in Vegas to win the Super Bowl.
This is a team that is getting so much hype from anyone willing to talk about them. And I buy parts of it. I really, truly do believe that this is a team that should be 500 or better. But with all the hype they're getting, it's not going to be good enough.
See, and here's the thing I feel like for Cleveland is if they are under pressure in 2019, it's because they let the media get to them. Like right now, they are media darlings.
They sure are.
Because they've got the short quarterback who's an underdog and he's a fighter.
He reminds us of Brett Favre.
He plays with a chip on his shoulder and he's the average guy almost. Like he fights just like me and he's got the determination that I want. You've got they get Odell Beckham Jr. this offseason, which kind of a diva.
They had Landry before.
Well, now they got Landry and OBJ.
Exactly.
Former LSU teammates coming together. They got another guy who's going to play with a chip on his shoulder, and Greedy Williams, who was very angry that he fell so far, but
he's good
playing
defense.
with a chip on his shoulder. He even said, I got to look up exact thing. Like he even said a comment about how I think he was the one that said that the Browns were going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Which forced everyone to go, well, Vegas has you at 16-1. So
the other thing,
let's not put the cart before the donkey.
For ESPN or Lovsky, I don't even know. I don't care. Says that the Browns are going to be in the title hunt within 5 years. So he pumps the brakes a little bit. But that's the thing about the Cleveland Browns right now. Everybody's just talking about how great they are and things like that. This is a team that technically had a losing record last year, 7-8-1. That tie really screws them up for 500.
Greedy Williams, Browns are going to the Super Bowl.
They had that. They have a brand new head coach who doesn't really have any head coaching experience, which it's not his fault, but he doesn't have it. They're going to have a brand new brand new coordinators. So offense has to learn new stuff. Defense has to learn new stuff. This is a team that is not going to perform probably as well as the world wants them to. And there's enough potential issues in that locker room that I think that can really eat away at a team.
I'll be completely honest. Like the thing I hated about the Greedy Williams comment about because he said exactly in a conference call to local reporters, I know one thing, that the Browns are going to the Super Bowl this year. That's a fact. Number one, if you're going to say that's a fact, you got to throw Jack at the end. That's a fact, Jack. Number two, I hate that he said it because I don't have to give them the kiss of death. He already did. He basically, to me is what you brought up not even, a minute ago, where this is Vince Young going, dude, the dream team. This is the dream team here in Philly, man.
Yeah.
Usually when someone proclaims something like this, your team does not do well
It's like back in the day of Madden when you used to be able to talk to your agent and you would say, I
want to trade.
No, you could do that, but you'd say, I'm guaranteeing that we're going to win a Super Bowl. I don't know why you tell your agent that and have your agent tell the world, but that's how it worked in Madden. And he would say, are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
It's a big promise to make. You got to keep it. So that's the big thing for a guy who just got drafted. You're a rookie.
Yeah, which
to go ahead and
many
say you're
teams
going to win the Super Bowl.
overlooked him, too. Many teams overlooked him.
Yeah.
Because he went, in the second round?
I just think for a brand new rookie to come in here, it's like, calm yourself. Like, just be a rookie. Like, just come into the NFL, let your play prove yourself. No reason to come here talking right off the bat.
I actually have a dual package for my first one. And it's more of a question to the real MVPs and yourself, Mark, and I'll kind of talk through my thought process. Who's under the most pressure between the Vikings and the Packers? Because I kind of wanted to mention, like, both of them, but I didn't know who to throw out first. Because you look at the Vikings, they were a team that was so close to the playoffs last year. So close. Kirk Cousins didn't play up to snuff. The thing that bugged me, like really irked me, is Kirk Cousins perfect last year? No. But watching, it was especially the Week 17 press conference and seeing in the live chat all the Viking fans just bashing Kirk Cousins after one single year. Because I was on the mindset of like, all right, it's 1 year. Next year, if it's like this, then we've got
welcome to your fan base hating your quarterback, even though your quarterback is a good quarterback.
Basically. And I feel like because of that alone, because of the Kirk Cousins and the contract and the fans, some of the fans, I'm not going to say all, but some of the fans hating him because we were expecting Kirk Cousins Super Bowl, which maybe we were the problem. Maybe the fans that thought that were like Greedy Williams. Like we were the problem. One quarterback doesn't mean you go to the Super Bowl.
I said it. You guys still had issues.
But there's also a part of me that's like, are the Green Bay Packers more under pressure because their quarterback is older than ours? And you look at it, yes, they helped out the defense, but like I read an article today, their wide receivers still aren't good. It's like Devonta Adams and then wide receivers. And I know I like Geno.
But if you say that to a Packers fan, they're going to say, yeah, but Devonta Adams is amazing.
Yeah, but like I look at it and I wonder, are the Packers under the most pressure because of Aaron Rodgers and his age, and also because of how Mike McCarthy was pushed out of town and now Matt LaFleur being in there to succeed with Rodgers right away because of all that drama?
I do think that adds quite a bit of pressure for you got to come in here and you got to be good. And it's also that thing, we're going to be looking at Aaron Rodgers saying, you know, was it really Mike McCarthy, or, you know, are you partially to blame for the team's failures as well?
Because if they do fail, it's going to be like, oh, Aaron, I thought it was going to get better from here on out.
Exactly. But at the same time, I mean, the Packers were a 6-9-1 team. They were not a very good team last year. Aaron was hurt, however. So I do think that the edge kind of goes a little bit more to Minnesota. I mean, they got the fully guaranteed contract. As long as Kirk Cousins is on the team, that's a cloud that's going to hang over their head.
Is it also because, and I'm saying this as a Viking fan, but I'm asking you as a Bears fan, is it because the real threat to the Bears this year in the NFC North, if there is one, is the Vikings and not the Packers?
Well, I don't know if I'm truly willing to count out the Packers as an actual threat, but if I'm going to put my money on someone to knock the Bears out of the division, it's going to be the Vikings. And certainly they were supposed to be the division winner last year and supposed to make the playoffs last year, and they didn't. So, but that's also, to go back and forth on this, that makes me feel, well, the pressure was on Minnesota last year. The pressure is not necessarily on Minnesota this year. You could easily argue if the pressure's on anybody in the NFC North, it should be the Chicago Bears, right?
Because they over-succeeded?
Yeah, they kind of overperformed last year.
That's what I was looking for.
You know, they arguably probably shouldn't have been a 12-win team. Although you can also flip the other side that with special teams, all of a sudden they're probably a 14-win team. But I think there's going to be some pressure there.
By the way, Brandon, very upset at the Bears trading for the Raiders kicker.
For a conditional 7th-round pick in 2021?
He felt like you didn't bring in a real kicker in his mind.
It doesn't matter. It's a conditional 2021 7th-rounder. That's basically not even a pick.
It's nothing.
But anyways, so I actually don't really think there's a ton of pressure on either of these three NFC North teams. There is pressure, but I don't think it's like a huge amount.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I maybe think the Vikings is because it's hitting close to home with me. But the one thing I will say early on, and I know we're going to dissect this like at nauseum this summer.
Sure.
I'm looking at the Bears' opening schedule. Besides maybe like Green Bay at home, like Green Bay, but you get them at home. Minnesota, you get them at home. Besides that, Denver, Washington, Washington could have a rookie
Denver's
quarterback
Fangio,
out there.
Though.
Yeah, like that's going to be a good game because it's Fangio going up against. But I still don't think it depends on what we see from Joe Flacco. But like I look at Green Bay at home, then Denver, Washington. Yeah, they're on the road, but Denver, Washington, Minnesota at home, and then Oakland and London. The Bears could start out 5-0 next year.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, then they're going to have some tough games after.
Tough. Then it gets real tough. You got to win those first 5 is basically what I'm saying. Who's another team that you think is under a lot of pressure this year?
I'm going to go in a direction not because of the team, but because of the coach and the GM, and that's the Oakland Raiders.
All right.
They are about to leave Oakland after this season and go to Las Vegas. You can't go to Vegas being a bad team still. Being a team where it doesn't matter because of the...
You can't be a top 5 pick in the draft.
Right, because of the 10-year deal with a stake in the team, because of going and getting TV personality Mike Mayock to be your GM, you can't continue to... because of those things, you're going to be highly criticized and highly... you're looked at under a huge microscope. You can't continue to be bad. And if you continue to be bad... That is a lot of pressure to me because this is a team that has to turn something around, and they're not doing it.
Because the draft is in Vegas next year.
But I don't know. That's my thought.
Are Vegas fans going to be excited if with the number 1 overall pick, the Raiders take blank?
Maybe if they don't realize the fact that they have the number 1 overall pick because their team is bad.
Exactly. And that's the thing where it's like, if you're getting a star player like that, do you still be excited? Or is it like, no... I want a good team. I want a team that's going to be here and going to blow the doors off.
And I really wonder about it, too, because they have had such a big struggle for a very long time now. And because John Gruden has not, I know they gave him a 10-year deal, but he has not turned the team around yet. Mayock came in here and they still made some questionable draft choices. Does a team from a management and owner type of perspective say, maybe when we move to a new town, we just get a fresh start and we start over? Does that happen? Probably not. But if this team has a terrible season, if they go 3-13, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that they say, wow, we made a really big mistake. We need to correct this right now.
So the thing I'm going to throw out there is the last team to kind of do this was the LA Rams. And the thing that I want to note, though, is so Oakland this year was 4-12.
Yep.
The year that the Rams moved from St. Louis, they were a 7-9 team. And Todd Gurley was the offensive rookie of the year that year. Like, that wasn't a bad team, although they finished 3rd in the NFC West that year. Then 2016, their first year in LA, they were 4-12. But right after that, I know they got McVay after that, but right after that season, second year in LA, 11-5 playoff team. Third year in LA, 13-3 Super Bowl. Yep. They were in the Super Bowl. They didn't win it, but they were in the Super Bowl. But that's also because that team got kind of like a boost in the arm with Sean McVay, with the additions that they made with McVay. Do the Raiders, I'll ask you this, do the Raiders have to do the same thing? Can they have maybe one bad season to start in Vegas, but that second year, you better be coming to play. You better be making the playoffs.
I mean, if we follow this method, then this is John Gruden's 5th year. If the team is still bad after 5 years of this coach who was supposed to turn things around, who's a Super Bowl winning coach, then yeah, that's a big issue. You can't just say, well, he's got like 10 years, so let's just let him have it. You have to make a change eventually.
I'm gonna go the other division on you, or the other conference on you.
Okay.
And this is a team that is in a division with one team that has their quarterback, but he's been injured, who they just accepted the 5th-year option on, and two teams who just drafted their heir apparents or supposed heir apparents in the 2019 NFL draft. To me, the Dallas Cowboys, not the most pressure, but Dallas is under some pressure this year. And the reason why I say that is Dallas, yes, they were 10-6 last year. Yes, they made the playoffs. They need to be serious players in the playoffs, in my mind. They need to be a Super Bowl contending team, in my mind, because with this Dallas team, and I know getting Jason Witten back, although he's old, might help Dak Prescott because Dak Prescott gets a safety blanket back. But this is a team, the Eagles should be better with a healthy Carson Wentz, plus with Jordan Howard. There you go. Like, the thing that Eagle fans are saying is that the Bears just handed the Eagles the NFC East by giving them Jordan Howard, by giving them a consistent running back that could work in their system. That's what Eagle fans are thinking right now.
Kind of thought the same thing with J.J., though.
Exactly. But, I mean, looking at the future for the other two teams, Dwayne Haskins looks like we really like that pick for the Redskins.
Yeah.
And let's say Daniel Jones does hit. The Giants have their future quarterback as well, whereas the Cowboys after this year, let's say they have another year like they did last year, where, yes, you make the playoffs, but you go ahead and lose in the playoffs. Dak Prescott is going to be up for a contract this offseason. What do you do? This is a team that, to me, needs to have a Super Bowl contending year, even if they lose like the Saints. Well, not exactly like the Saints, but if they lose in the NFC Championship game, that, to me, is the least that they have to do in order to justify, in my mind, giving Dak a big contract. Because if this team doesn't make the playoffs or is a wild card team and gets bounced in the first round, if they give Dak big money, I know it's like, oh, wait, Dak is a good quarterback, but you can't give him huge money if this is going to be a team that always gets into the playoffs or wins the division because another team is injured and then loses in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I definitely think a lot of the pressure is going to come onto Dak Prescott because this kind of is his opportunity to prove himself. He's done really good things as a quarterback. He hasn't really necessarily proven that he is an elite quarterback, to go back and use that verbiage. But this is kind of his opportunity to do that. He needs to show that he can really be the leader of this team, that he can be the post Tony Romo quarterback. But the good thing is, if you're going to be anywhere to do this, I would say that Dallas Cowboys are a good place to be because they are a team that is loyal to a fault to
Jerry
whatever quarterback they want.
Jerry Jones is loyal to a fault. But the thing also that I think about is the big thing in 2017 when they went 9-7 was, oh, well, Ezekiel Elliott missed so many games. We lost 3 of those games because Zeke wasn't out there. We should have really been like a 12-win team compared to a 9-win team. Last year, you had Zeke the whole entire year, and you only won one more game? Only one? From 9 to 10, that's the only thing you increased. So, like, to me, that's why this season is so important for the Cowboys, because the Eagles, they're going to be a team that competes, and it's kind of like, to use a Game of Thrones reference, the Redskins and the Giants could be like the Night King. They're not here yet, but they're coming. They might be coming if their quarterbacks hit. And are you going to be ready for it when they do come and this division potentially gets really tough?
Yeah, and you kind of need it. You can't be the team that kind of missed on the quarterback. Not that they drafted Dak Prescott high because they didn't, but they moved on from Tony Romo to really commit to Dak Prescott. you can't be the team that missed on it.
Question I'm going to throw out to you, kind of linking in the last topic with this topic. Mm-hmm. Let's say the Cowboys have a catastrophic season and they are in top 5 in the range to take a quarterback. Do they take a quarterback if they're top 5 in the 2020 draft, or do they stay with Dak Prescott?
Because it's the Dallas Cowboys, I think they'll stay with Dak Prescott.
What would you do?
If Dak has a really bad year?
If, let's say, just the team has a bad year. They're a top 5 pick in the draft.
Well, it doesn't. It depends on how Dak Prescott does. If he puts up another 3,800 yards.
Good, not great. Good, not great year.
If he does if he gives me a 2016 or a 2018, I would keep him.
Okay.
If he gives me a 2017, which is his worst year, then I would probably move on. The big saving grace for Dak Prescott to me, he does not throw interceptions.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't turn over the ball. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Any other teams that you think are under a bit of pressure this year?
And my only other team I want to really mention for it, and it should be a really obvious one. It's a team that was a play away and then a play away. It's the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The Saints.
That's the only other team that I really think truly has a lot of pressure because you keep just missing.
Well, but last year's wasn't just like 2 years ago, the Minnesota Miracle. That was a brain fart. That they could blame on theirself. Like that was our fault.
Yeah.
Whereas last year, they got that stolen from them, taken away from them, where even the cornerback who made the play was like, dude, I thought I was going to get flagged all day, and I was happy I didn't.
Yeah.
Because we go into the Super Bowl.
We're going to the Super Bowl, and you know what we're going to do there?
We're going to
score 3 points.
Yeah, we're going to lay an egg in the Super Bowl. We got Sean McVay, 3 points in the Super Bowl. But, that's the reason. I say the reason why the Saints are under pressure, probably not the most pressure, but under pressure, is how much, and Saint fans don't get mad at me for how I verbed this, but for how much they bitched after that call.
And I'll to make it better, rightfully bitched.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's
they were justified to bitch.
But because of how much they bitched after that call, that's why there's a little bit of pressure of like, okay, if that call's not made, all right, show me this season. And I know if something like that happens again, boom, it takes all the, it was not our fault thing. But especially if they do make the Super Bowl. If this team makes the Super Bowl this year, they better win it. Because if they lose in the Super Bowl and it's not off of a fluke call, because usually the refs swallow the whistle in the Super Bowls and in the championship games, if you lose in the Super Bowl, let's say it's like the Tom Brady, I'm sitting there and going, you know what? Maybe you didn't deserve to be there that year. I'm not saying they didn't, so don't get mad at me, but that's why I would say they're under at least a little pressure this year because of last year.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Plus, you just got to add in the fact that the question, how much longer does Drew Brees have? And this is a team that's got a lot of really talented young players. Eventually, they start going off and doing their own thing in other teams.
Last thing I'm going to ask you, kind of a wild card type of question. And so there are going to be 3 quarterbacks. And yes, they're all different situations, but which one of these quarterbacks is under the most pressure this year?
All right.
Jameis Winston. Actually, I think 4. So Jameis Winston, Nick Foles, Joe Flacco, or Josh Rosen.
Jameis Winston, because he's the only one who I truly believe will probably lose his job this year if he doesn't do well. All the other quarterbacks, if they don't do well, I think they'll still come back next year.
Virtually, see, I'm on the other side. To me, everyone except Nick Foles. Nick Foles, if he does bad, he comes back next year. I threw him in there just because of what the Jaguars have had to deal with. And is he going to be the savior? But if Josh Rosen doesn't do well, do the Dolphins draft a quarterback? If Joe Flacco doesn't do well, how soon do we see Drew Lock? And then if Jameis Winston doesn't do well, do the Buccaneers move on from
I guess with the Joe Flacco thing, it's not necessarily that I think he's not going to lose his job. I think Joe Flacco knows his role is probably the better way to.
Plus, Vic Fangio, Vic Fangio likes him. The offensive coordinator that they have, that I keep screwing up his last name.
I don't think that Joe Flacco is under any delusion that he's going to hang on to this job for very long.
Yeah. Whereas, like, I agree, Jameis Winston would probably be the most pressure, only because, hey, we brought in a coach that is vying for you and saying he can work with you. Yeah. If you don't make it work this year, then something's got to change.
Yep.
Something has to change. And it's also funny to me still that both the top two quarterbacks from that year, neither of them could get one over the other. Mariota's is basically because of injury, but like neither one can get really an edge over the other one for who's the better in that class. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think. First off, who's the team in the NFL that's under the most pressure this year? And then what are some other teams that you think might be feeling a little bit of pressure in 2019? Let us know what you think down below in the comment section.